together as one. There are people dying. Oh, and it's time to lend a hand to life, the greatest gift of all. We could go on pretending day by day that someone somewhere will soon make a change. We all a part of God's great big family. And the truth, you know, love is all we need. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving.
There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we make a better day, just you and me. Well, send them your heart so they know that someone cares, and their lives will be
Stronger and free, as God has shown us by turning stone to bread. And so we all must lend a helping hand. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones to make a brighter day. So let's start giving. Oh, there's a choice we're making. We're saving our lives. It's true, we make a better day, just you and me.
when you're down and out, and there seems no hope at all.
But if you just believe, there's nowhere we can fall.
Well, let's realize, oh, that a change can only come when we
Stand together as one. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving. We're saving our own lives. Make a better day, just you and me. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we make a better day, just you and me. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving. It's true, we make a better day, just you and me. Oh, let me hear you. We are the world. We are the world. We are the children. We are the children. We are the ones who make a better day. So let's start giving.
Well, good morning and welcome. Thank you for joining us to this North American panel for the WWO International Women's Day. We are day 2 celebrating International 2026. My name is Sandra J. Horton. I am a global leadership and change strategist. I have my MA in leadership, EQ, and ProSci certified practitioner, and I'm so blessed to be on the WWO Board of Governors. Thank you for joining us today. I'd like to acknowledge our global summit, which is led by our founder, Rachel Akeem Harumi. Our theme today is Give to Gain, Empower to Elevate. We will be live for the next 60 to 75 minutes. So let's now take some time for me to introduce our esteemed panel. First of all, I'd love to introduce Kieran Mann. Kieran is a Canadian business strategist. She's a transformational leader and CEO of Breyers Foods, one of Canada's leading South Asian food brands. With over 30 years of a career spanning design, automotive, manufacturing, she blends creativity with strategy to drive growth through clarity, culture, and compassion. She's also the founder of M2M Business Solutions and creator of the Harmonic System. Welcome, Kieran Mann.
Thank you so much, Sandra. It is an absolute pleasure to be here. I can feel the energy in my heart. The purple is bringing more power to all of us, and I cannot wait for the next 1 hour of sharing, caring, and gain to give.
Thank you so much, Kieran. And next is Dr. Angela Buckley. Angela is from the USA. She stands at the intersection of operational excellence and AI innovation. As a Lean Six Sigma Black Belt with a PhD in organizational leadership, she has spent over 15 plus years optimizing how organizations work safely and saving them over 30 million through measurable process improvements. She is also the founder of Creatively Efficient. And next, we have the esteemed Karen Hall, also from the USA, is a publicist and beautiful publisher and producer known as the Queen of Empathy, a truth seeker, and an emotional intelligence leadership coach. She equips leaders to build trust and resilience. And she is the founder of Momentum Media, a Latin journal and a global women's journal. Karen elevates voices through heartfelt storytelling, inspiring connection. And next, our esteemed Lynn Mosley is a founder of Riverhaven Farm in British Columbia, Canada, a leadership and wellness center that integrates equine facilitated development, conscious leadership, and nature-based experiences. After more than 25 plus years in corporate finance and private equity, then Lynn, felt the call to redefine success and build a space where people could reconnect to clarity, courage, and embodied leadership. And ladies, I'm going to continue on because this is so important because your backgrounds really make this panel so incredible. We have Professor Diana Eisen. She is a master certified coach all the way from our Mexico City, who is an international coaching federation, a mentor, coach, and coaching supervisor with more than 2 decades of experience in leadership, education, and organizational transformation. Ladies, welcome. I am so thrilled to have all of you here for WWO IWD 2026 panel discussion. Thank you for joining me. Thank you. For me, International Women's Day is not only a moment of recognition, though. It's an opportunity to explore how leadership, opportunity, and influence expand when women intentionally invest in one another. We're investing in each other right now. When mentorship and sponsorship and access circulate among women leaders, the ripple effect extends beyond us as individuals, but it begins to reshape the organizations, the communities, and the systems that influence our economies and our future. You know, we are coming North American from Canada with Kieran and myself and Lynn through the US and in Mexico. We are a global community. But for me, I imagine that this all starts with each one of us as a young girl and later as a woman who chose to stand up and write her own story, one where you lean in and you learn to shift past our past and the family stories into our own story. So let's continue today in 4 central themes. As we jump in now, I wanted to take the time, though, truly, From my heart to all of you who are listening, thank you for joining us globally today to talk about 4 critical areas today on International Women's Day. Number 1, the ripple effect of giving, from empowerment to elevation, from investing in women, and resilience and reinvention. So let's jump on in. So our first panel, our first discussion is going to be very powerful. I'm going to ask Dr. Angela Buckley, Karen Hall, and Kieran Mann to jump on in with me. And in this conversation, I really want to start to dive in and look at the importance of the ripple effect. So, Dr. Angela, what does the ripple effect look like for you in leadership, in business, and in social systems?
Thank you for asking that question. What's important to me is that when we are working together, we consider what a multiplier looks like and understanding that when we have that positive impact, it trickles to the people that are around us, but also importantly, our children and the next generation. They are seeing how we're behaving. They are learning how we are building each other up. And I think that this collaborative effect is so important. I recently was down at the riverside with my nephew and my son, and I have this great photo of both of them throwing rocks into the river, and they were completely in sync, not intentionally. They were just having fun, but somehow I have this photo sequence of 2 boys exactly poised, having fun, and you can see how those ripples, when they land, interact with each other, and those waves, those ripples become larger. And so that ripple effect is so important, not just as an analogy in the water, but for our day-to-day actions. And so sometimes we may not feel it or we may not see it, but once those ripples start interacting with each other, it sometimes is something that it's not unmeasurable, but it's something that we're not measuring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. And it's interesting. We all think back to ourselves and mentors and sponsorship. Did we have that in our early days? I can say perhaps not early in my life's journey, my leadership career, but it's so foundational. And so, Karen, I want to come to you because I know you do a lot of mentorship and you do sponsorship and access to multiple opportunities. How have you been able to really support that in all the great leadership work that you're doing?
I think what I see is when we talk about giving, most people immediately think about charity. And whereas the most important, powerful form of giving is actually access and leadership. And I would say early in my career, I realized something very important, that talent exists everywhere. But opportunity doesn't. So mentorship is going to help people grow. Sponsorship only opens the doors, but accesses that gives the entire trajectory. So I would say when as women we support other women, not just emotionally, but also through introductions or opportunities, and provide visibility, right, to your younger ones and people that are the other women that are working around you, that impact really multiplies. And I've seen that in the business world in my profession so far, that one woman can get access to leadership, and now she's going to hire many other exclusively, and she is going to mentor those young professionals, and suddenly the whole ecosystem begins to change, and that is the ripple effect. It goes beyond women, I would say, because when women rises, families stabilize and communities grow stronger, and economy is going to expand. So the real question is actually, how do we help one woman succeed, or how do we create that system where opportunities can keep on multiplying? Because when one woman rise, she rarely is rising alone, she is taking a whole village around with her.
Thank you, Karen. That is so powerful. And it takes a village. It takes multiple connections. It takes all of us coming together. So over to Karen Hall now. Karen, so how do women support other women that really create that measurable economic and community impact? And I know you do a lot of this good work. So I'm excited for you to answer this.
Yes, I just have to echo what Kieran said, that mentors provide advice, but sponsors help provide access. And that is so important because the access is oftentimes blocked from us. We may have somebody who's saying, yeah, you should do this. But when we have a sponsor that opens that door, that makes all the difference. And I want to also say that I have worked with so many talented women, and the problem is not that they're not capable, it's that they haven't been invited into the room where the decisions are being made. And so that mentorship can become transformational, but when another woman is in a leadership position and she mentors another woman, first of all, it's extremely empowering to have that happen. And as you said, Sandra, it can be rare, but when it happens, oh my goodness, it just feels so incredible. And she doesn't just share knowledge, she transfers confidence to that woman. She says, you belong here. And that is the best feeling. And so that advocacy is very important. And then the real magic happens because just as we mentioned, the mentor then mentors another woman, and the sponsor who was sponsored sponsors another woman. And so that ripple effect just continues to grow. And it's, the leaders aren't about, how high they rise. It's about the most powerful leaders. They don't just climb the ladder, they hold the ladder steady so the other women can climb on the ladder too. And then the whole village rises. And it reminds me of the quote that, a rising tide lifts all boats. And so it doesn't just lift that one woman, it lifts that whole village, that whole family, that whole community. That ripple effect is very, very powerful. And being able to have a voice and have a seat at that table changes the whole dynamic because women bring a very unique perspective for innovation, for creativity, for the leadership that is needed to move organizations forward. Because now we know that emotional intelligence is key and that people are doing business with corporations and individuals that have higher emotional intelligence, and women score higher, as research shows, and anybody else can also do well because it's a trait that can be learned. Thank heavens. And so teaching this skill has a ripple effect, and that communication improves in all organizations when a woman is involved.
I love that. And you're speaking my language. EQ is so important. I'm like, yes. And I know all of the esteemed panelists here are so high functioning and such high, beautiful levels of emotional intelligence. If you don't know what that is, and I put that out there because some people just hear the term, they don't actually know what it means. So go take the time now today, after the panel is complete, and go and investigate what does that mean? Because the inherent understanding is self-awareness and the ability for us as individuals, like one person can build momentum. And we're going to shift now to our second topic because there's a nice shift that happens. Yes, we have sponsorship. Yes, we have the mentorship. Yes, we're gaining in confidence, but there is a fundamental next step, which is from empowerment to elevation. And I know this is a very rich conversation. So I'm going to invite Diana, Lynn, and myself is going to jump in on this piece as well. But I want to kind of share a few moments because the shift from personal empowerment to structural elevation is foundational. And Diana, I know that with all your good work across the globe, this has been very powerful, not only as an ICF, certified coach, but you work with leaders, you work with teams and structures to help facilitate this. I'd love to learn from you. How have you seen shifting from personal empowerment to structural elevation?
Well, thank you for bringing this topic to the table, Sandra. I'm pretty sure and confident that just bringing this from me to everybody, from me to the team to the system. We have, for years, we have talked about empowering women, as we talked in the last topic, to reach leadership. But there's a question I have been asking myself. What happens after we arrive? What happens when we finally sit at the table where decisions are being made? Do we simply sit there and occupy the seat? Or do we need to transform the way the table works? Because empowerment, sponsorship may open the table, but what happens may open the door. But what happens afterwards, it's our responsibility. What we do with that, it's our responsibility. How do we include others because of their talent, because of their merit, because of everything that they have to be to the table? How inclusive are we of other ideas, of creativity, of putting a way of looking at the world as a system where everything that I do will impact somebody else? So how do we want to influence the world? We want to influence with the feeling superior, or with revenge, or what state of mind are we bringing to the table? Are we talking about emotional intelligence that, as you brought up, or are we talking about just being there? So I think that whenever we have the seat at the table, we have to be very careful on the way we use our leadership and our power to bring that value to the world, and not just being there because with entitlement, but with what is trust, loyalty, honesty, and all those values that help us build strong families, and we can bring that to the table of every organization.
Wow, that was powerful. I got goosey bumps. Just saying, the power of understanding also the values. Like you just espoused some really powerful values that as a woman leader, knowing who you are and what your values are, just in that communication, and asking yourself, for those who are listening now or later in the replay, do you know your values? How do you want to show up into your leadership? And this brings us into, Lynn, I'm coming to you to really kind of dig into this, because this is a powerful piece. And I know someone myself who lived not really knowing fully until I awakened to my own self-awareness, all about leadership, presence, and influence. And that is really grounded within our values. So how do you, with leadership, presence, and influence, expand when women move into strategic positions? Over to you, Lynn, because I know you have been in these beautiful positions. So I'm excited to hear your thoughts on this.
Yes, thanks, Sandra. Just flowing on from what Diane said, it extends beyond responsibility for women to advocate and to include and to sponsor and to lead with clarity and presence and embodied leadership. It's a duty. So, an empowerment is only the beginning. But for those, the things that really matter is all about the elevation. Yes. When we arrive, what do we do? Elevation happens when women don't just encourage each other. They advocate, they sponsor, they open the doors, everything that we've been speaking about so far. And that shift is so powerful. It's like, when I see women stepping into my arena and they're having, a leadership not crisis, but a moment, and they're standing beside a 1,200-pound horse that's just not going to budge because the leadership is not clear. Once they get clear, and usually that's from support from the women that are also in the arena, then the shift change, and then the horse moves, and it's really incredible to see. And that's the movement from empowerment, because she steps in the arena as a confident woman, but she gets the support from the women around her, and that is elevation. It's when women use their influence and their positions and their voices to open those doors, like we've been speaking about, and their presence and influence expand, and then it informs their strategic direction. That's a huge moment. And then what happens is systemic contribution. And that is really when we arrive. That's when real transformation begins. So for me, empowerment gives somebody confidence, but elevation changes their trajectory. And often the trajectory of those who follow. Confidence empowers women, but elevation changes systems, and we begin to shape the systems we lead. So, in terms of the value question, for sure, it's not only our responsibility, but it's our duty to show up as women in our communities and empower and elevate women.
Thank you, Lynn. I think so much power there. And, adding to that, one of the things that I find very effective working with leaders and particularly when you're first introduced to a new role, the moment of that observation, right? You're coming into this role, you have all this enthusiasm, but it's that pause. It's that ability to stop, to breathe in and out, to ground yourself. And to actually strategically look at ways, I call this kind of my influence map, and adding this into understanding the system that's in front of you is do an influence map. What are 3 touch points or 3 points within that system can I actually influence? And go into your next meeting and document it, like sit back as an observer and watch, listen, feel, see the interactions between people. It's such a simple shift, but it's very profound, especially as a new leader coming in to look at empowerment to elevation. Because what you may pick up on, and I have seen this, is that the quiet person who's sitting over in the corner on your executive team might have the greatest new idea to create this shift, this new profound change. Then you can bring that person in because you've observed them. You've felt their presence, where some leaders, if you lead with that ego, we haven't talked about that yet. If ego leads ahead of us, that can get us derailed. So I think that's really important, is making the time to be specific about our influence and our presence, because small structural changes can happen easily if we are aligned with what's actually the current state. Many people will come in with your biases, you'll come in with your understanding of what others have informed you into a senior executive leader or anywhere, even if you're just starting out in leadership. Just stop and take a moment and pause, connect to yourself, observe, reflect, and then engage. I think these are very powerful things that we can look at and then learn more about what is systems change for, particularly for women. Who strategically can you connect with that can help support you? I don't know how many around the globe have had this moment where you have all the capacity, you're ready, you're willing, and you're able to go to the next level, but the system hasn't allowed you to go there. Anyone had that problem, that situation? I sure have. So take the time and say, who else can I bring into my system? Who do I need to know? Who do I need to connect with from my heart? Not just my mind, but build that relationship within that system that then can become, back to the first questions, a sponsor or a mentor to open those doors. So I just wanted to add that, because elevation truly is your place at that table, making the strategic decisions that helps open the other doors for the other women coming up that ladder, right? And I think we're aware of that, and the impact and the ripple effects is very, very profound. So
Sandra, I would like to add something about accountability that we quite forget. Yes. And because with this influence and this being at the table comes also the need to be accountable for what we're doing and how we are handling ourselves in that matter, mm-hmm. and the changes that we're bringing and the influence that we're having. So we have to be very aware of that. With every step that we take, there come consequences. And accountability is about being powerful enough to take care of those consequences and not just letting the debris outside and seeing maybe somebody else will take it. No, with the accountability. And as Angela said, we are building the leaders of tomorrow. So that what's the example that we want to leave them not only as women, as
Yeah.
mothers that we have sons, as sisters that we have brothers. So, what is the influence that we want to leave, and the mindset that we want to bring to the table about being a leader, a women leader? So, I think that
Powerful.
that's very important also. Mhm.
Yeah, and I really appreciate you bringing up responsibility, and radical responsibility is all part of conscious leadership. And everyone here knows I'm such an advocate. We're all advocates for conscious leadership around the globe. So I want to just continue to shift and thank the panelists thus far. It's very the conversations we're having. If when you go back and you listen in the replay, are so powerful. These are lived experiences. These are women who have been there, who have done this good work. So please do take the time, the opportunity. I invite you to, listen. And what is that golden nugget? What is that place in your heart that's like, oh, this really resonates for me. I want to learn more. So please, as I said, all of these amazing panelists their bios are in the LinkedIn event page. We'll talk a little bit more about how to get in touch with them, but I just wanted to honor all of you and say thank you so much, because these are rich conversations that we're having today. So as we're moving now beyond empowerment to and through elevation, I want to talk about true investing in women. And this is where we start to look at that real intersection between the positions of influence and how does that actually show up? How do we then go to our local bank? How do we then invest in true opportunities, entrepreneurship, things that allow women to take their gifts, their ideas, and bring it to that marketplace? So I'm going to invite Dr. Angela and Kieran, and I'm going to pop in a little bit, because this is that next level. Like you see, we're building here on International Women's Day. And Kieran, love to ask you this question, because you do this a lot, and you have expert wisdom and shared experience here about capital allocation and investment decisions when women are at the table. What do you see? What do you experience for yourself being that woman at that table?
I think first of all, the first thing that usually come in mind when we talk about investing in women is like, funding for a startup or like a venture capital. But investing in women, it starts way before we should be talking about capital itself, because it's about education for women. It's about bringing confidence in them, providing them with a network, which is way before, talking about capital investment at any place. And I personally feel that when women sit at a decision-making tables, whether it is in business, whether it is in finance or leadership, investment pattern changes. There's the switch at that point. And even if we look at the studies consistently, we are seeing that women reinvest more into their families. We touched upon that before. And then communities and long-term growth, because they're taking everybody with them. As they get more exposure, there's more awareness, there is more learning, the confidence goes up, the clarity goes up, and women get very courageous. So the investment is not just about the dollars. It is an investment in the personality of a woman, that where her personal skills are going to scale up and going to come up, and the confidence she gathers, she is going to be a beautiful storm that is going to take everybody around with her. So I would say investment is beyond financial words. It is generational. You're not only doing it to your current generation or the generation before, whether you're taking care of them or you're related to them, but you're also doing it to the generations to come. And personally, as a CEO, looking at this firsthand, I have seen that the diverse leadership teams have made better decision. They bring so much different perspective on the table, and it allows you. There are certain things women have them in their DNA. We're guilty of judging ourselves and self-sabotage ourselves at some point. But on the other hand, we also have beautiful DNA that allows us to be more thorough. Like, what better leadership you can have than running a house of different generation and, different expectation, and you're making the all work and still stepping out to do the same outside in the outside world. So I would say when we're doing such conversations, some of the questions to ask is that what is the long-term sustainability of the investment we're talking, whether it's financial or non-financial, or how will this impact the people around, the communities around? And then lastly, I would say, what type of systems are we building for the future? And then correlate that with the women's personality and the investment thought process of the women. So one word, if I want to say in the end, would be investing in women is not at all a charity. It is
Correct.
smart economics. It is economics.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
when women are going to thrive, the return is not just calculating ROIs and profit, it is stability in your business and in your environment, in the whole ecosystem. It is innovation. And let's not forget the long term prosperity it is going to bring.
So powerful. I love it. And I thank you for, taking the time today. I know Karen may have to pop off. She's beautifully parked in a wonderful location with her wonderful daughters, who I've been blessed to be able to meet. And they're doing some wonderful shopping on International Women's Day, while Mom Karen is being here present with us. Like this is a living, beautiful example of how powerful women leaders show up. Family is essential. Bringing her daughters are incredible young women leaders, and all of us have amazing women nieces, daughters, others that are looking at us. They're following us, and so I just wanted to honor Karen. If I'm not able to do it later, thank you for your time, and I understand that you may have to pop off after this. Is there any other closing remarks, Karen, before I go to Angela to continue on in this conversation? Because I know you may have to get driving soon.
For the beautiful shout out and thanks for your kind words. One thing I want to say is, us as women, sometimes we all have stories about carrying a baby, and have them outside the boardroom while you have to walk into the boardroom, or carrying the baby in your lap while you're trying to cook and take a call, or with your teams on that. Right now, I have 2 dogs in the car. Can you hear that? There's not even a peep. Akam has trained them so well. I have a Maltese and a German Shepherd quietly sitting in the back end because they've been instructed not to talk while I'm on air. So the dynamics of women lead is very, very different. I would say one thing, if I want to say on a personal note, is leading like a large food manufacturing organization that I'm doing as well. Leadership for me has never just been about business success. It's always understanding systems, about how organizations grow, how people grow, and how culture evolve. And I'm really on a mission to see that how do we bridge gap between business successes and people fulfillment, because I believe that it can coexist, and women definitely play a great role understanding these concepts with the emotional maturity that we carry. And I think raising this awareness and trying to make that small impact around us, and that ripple effect will happen right away of how it's going to spread. When leaders are investing in our people, especially women around us, the result can go way far. So let's be those leaders that if time was tough before us and we had to be in a room full of a room where there was a lot of men, may not understand women physical limitations at times or other duties outside the boardrooms, but we as leader are sitting in positions where we have that power to know the struggles of a woman, and how can we support the young women that are around us, and help them grow, and then help grow the villages and communities and business world and countries, I would say, everywhere. That is the power we carry. Thank you. Thank you
Well,
for
thank
amazing,
you.
beautiful panel that you have arranged. I'm going to stay in the background as much as I can, but if I
Okay.
log off, you would know. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Karen. And building on what Karen has been sharing, it's very powerful. I'm going to come to Dr. Angela around this whole concept about there's more than just, as we've heard, about the financial investing in women, but there's the other side of that as well. There's the impact of investing in women around changing organizations and economic outcomes. And I know this is near and dear to your heart. This is your wheelhouse. This is where you thrive. Love to get you to share your thoughts, your opinions on this big area, because I'm just going to leave it to you to take wherever you're called, because I know it's going to be amazing.
One of the things, thank you, Sandra. One of the things that I have seen is that women are taking to education. And in some of the math fields, for example, we're seeing more women than men actually entering the field. Unfortunately, what we see is that women drop out of the field almost immediately in their first couple years, and so they're not progressing. So one of the things that I think is very important is also to consider the impact of multiple people, multiple women in the boardroom. If you're the only female in the boardroom, you are often seen as the negative Nancy. Why? You were brought in to represent an alternative opinion or alternative perspective. And when you represent that, and that of course goes against what they consider mainstream, and there's no one else to support your voice, you're the only one saying something that is counterintuitive to what's been happening. And so I encourage organizations to not just say, what are you talking about? I have a female on my board. We need to really encourage that the importance of having multiple people, multiple women in the room. And if you are one of the male supporters and allies, and these people do exist, then also allowing them to have the floor and allowing them to say, look, you asked me to represent, I am representing. That doesn't mean that I am against you or anything else, but we're talking about changing streams. And that takes time, and it takes effort, and it takes grit and resistance. And so it's not just one person. This is not the work of one person. So education is happening at the technical level, but not at the leadership level. And so when we're talking about smart business and investing in the women, of course, we need to have our technical women and we need to have these strengths. However, we need more than that. It's not enough to be able to do the math and do the calculus and write the code. We also have to understand how to, let's say, code switch and be able to influence the people that have held power traditionally in their language and in the impact that they're looking for. And that means bringing demographics, bringing statistics, bringing numbers. It's not just, this is my lived experience, but this is the lived experience of 51% of the population of the world. They control this much money. We need to be able to argue on their terms for what we want in order to make those influences. And so when we start talking back to the ripple effect, when we start talking about compounding education, we want to have the right type of education, and we want to have that collaborative support. That's why we've been working so closely with Campfire Conversations to create these cohorts of women who can help frame from the perspective of the organizational leadership what needs to change, why it needs to change, but in their words, so that we can be successful in our change management.
And you brought up a key thing there. It's understanding the need for change management. And as a change management practitioner, I'm like, thank you for bringing that up. It's interesting, especially in the global environment that we're facing. We need to look at the people impacts. We need to look at diversity of impacts. What's that scope? What's their ability as an individual employee, middle management, leadership team, their change readiness. Are they ready to change? What does that look like? Are we bringing in that diversity of a woman's voice, at different levels to really understand the sustainable impact of any change? And, adding to this, especially with education, I'm such a firm believer, and I see one of my mentees is on here, Mike Oreji's amazing fellow in Kenya and doing some great work with the youth there. A big shout out to Mike, because he's doing that grassroots work, but it's understanding the diversity of having different women into that space. And how do you help support education? And this is where I want to shift a little bit. The opportunity is within the AI as well. It's within using technology. It's giving access to those who don't have access. I'm humbled by my opportunity to sit, here in Maple Ridge, British Columbia, in Canada, and have access to Wi-Fi and all these beautiful things. There are many women who don't have that access. So I want to ground that in, and a reminder that we do need to always be aware and consistent of our place. How do we champion the change for education, champion the change for diversity of voices within education to teach? And so that takes courageous action. It takes responsibility, accountability, things we've talked about before. It takes one person's choice to change, doesn't it? Like all of you. And this is going to lead us into our next segment, which, again, we're doing so well for time, everyone. Thank you so much for working with us. And thank you for all those who are coming globally. Please put your questions in the questions, wherever you're coming in, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. We just love and appreciate that you're all here. And as we transition, we're going to go into more of the heartfelt area, because for me, this is, as a heart-led leader, and all of you wonderful panelists are heart-led leaders, this is a critical piece. Because again, I started my opening remarks about how it starts with one individual, one young woman, one young man. It's about that change and choice, and looking at how do I lead? How can I lead easily, differently, in very, diverse perspectives? Because right now we're in a very unpredictable, chaotic world, and really understanding all of us and all the things that we're going through is so critical now. So I'm going to welcome to the stage about resilience and reinvention, Diana, Lynn, and Karen Hall. So I'm really excited about this piece. I'm like, this was one of my favorite topics. As you can tell by my enthusiasm, I get all excited about it. Because it's all about how reinvention truly contributes to sustainable economic and leadership growth. So Lynn, I'm going to come to you to start us off here. You talked about a little bit earlier in the earlier segments about what you're seeing in the farm with the horses about this whole reinvention. So how do you see reinvention contributing to sustainable economic and leadership growth?
Oh, such a great question, and so near and dear to my heart. And I have a little story I'd love to share in a couple of seconds. But one thing that I've really observed through my own leadership journey is that reinvention rarely happens when life is simple. We are living in very not simple world today. You mentioned the chaos and things that we're trying to navigate. So it happens in moments of great complexity, when the environments that we're working in are shifting constantly, and the models that once worked for us, especially for women, they're not quite the right fit anymore. So, I've been working in, and lots of women on this panel have been in finance and very big corporate careers, and often in rooms where women are the minority. And these environments taught me a great deal about navigating that complexity and building the resilience. And over time, I began to understand resilience a little differently. It isn't just a personal trait. It's a strategic capacity. So in the ability to step back, reassess the landscape that's constantly changing, and sometimes reinvent the path entirely. You're starting almost from fresh. And that's what that realization really led me to reinvent my own leadership journey and create the space we have here, working with women leaders, exploring resilience and reinvention and that embodied conscious leadership we've been talking about today, alongside, in my case, horses. And it reminds me of a moment that captured this incredibly well. And it was in an incredible few days span of a major storm that came through the Pacific Northwest. And we had days and days of pelting rain, and I'm watching our paddock slowly fill up with water. And I'm thinking, okay, we've got to do something. We spent hours hauling heavy gravel and just to reinforce the footing of the horses. And there was nothing glamorous about it, which often reinvention is not glamorous. It's hard, it's tough, it's hard work, worth every ounce of energy, 100%, but it's not easy. For us, an analogy to sometimes what reinvention is like, we were soaked, we were tired, we were bone tired, we were hungry, and the rain was just unrelenting. And then it dawned on me that there's this quiet responsibility of protecting the foundation so everything downstream would remain stable. Mm. So, and that's what often the work that we do. We reinforce foundations, we stabilize systems, we ensure that others can move forward behind us and in our path, in the foundation we've created safely. Speaking back to that responsibility of leading with that responsibility and accountability. And that's where reinvention becomes so powerful, not just personally, but economically and organizationally. When women step into those positions where we are asked to rethink systems and question the assumptions, some of them we've held deeply for a very long time, and we design the new pathways for leadership and opportunity, that impact extends far beyond the individual. And that's what I love, is when we do these big reinventions, it goes way beyond us. It contributes to more sustainable organizations, stronger communities, stronger families, and what we were just talking about, more inclusive economies. And to me, that's the promise of resilience and reinvention, not just adapting to change, but helping shape a future where more women can lead and thrive in what they're doing.
Wow, that was powerful. And I was participating in being in the Pacific Northwest here and having those moments. And I think we could all relate to those moments of external circumstances or even internal circumstances that can cause us to go into this chaotic churn. I physically, I verbally, I emotionally, I'm in this churn. You can feel it even by just visually imagining yourself in this. If we all did that now, all of you who are globally would be going like, what? I could feel that energy. But some people will show up like that. Some situations that you're leading are like that. So there's a critical junction of us as a conscious leader. And Karen, I'm coming to you to step into that place. And I'm going to ask you to take this wherever you want to go around the complexity from making your way out, like being able to move through this resilience into a place of emotionally intelligent, conscious, I'm present, I'm okay. And now what? That's the opportunity for us in this moment. It's really like, how do we go from that resilience to build the resilience into reinvention? So what have you seen in your life? Because you do a lot of work with individuals. You're always on speaking on this area. So I'm going to let you just go wherever you feel inclined to follow with what Lynn has shared earlier as well.
Thank you, Sandra. And it is very interesting because it's almost like a mystery to people. Okay, so I'm in this crisis. I'm dealing with the storm, whether it's the Northwest storm or any kind of a storm, change. Oh, we need to learn this new technology, this new AI system. What does this mean? And when change happens, the common response is fear, and that causes resistance as a natural reaction. That's what our brain defaults to because it thinks that there's danger ahead. And so an emotionally intelligent person who is able to deal with that takes that and looks at it in a different way. Oh, what can I learn from this new experience? Oh, I wonder what's going to be better about this new system. We have questions in our mind instead of, I don't want to do that, and backing away from it. We embrace that change. We lean into it because that is how we understand it. And you mentioned about what is emotional intelligence. And I thought I would just, briefly just describe the the key pillars of emotional intelligence. So one is self-awareness. So that's when you notice, oh, I'm feeling resistant, I feel fear, or whatever it is that's going on in your body. And the second is being able to regulate those emotions that come up. Because as a leader, when we feel those feelings, it's contagious, and our team picks up on that. And if we feel fear, they will feel fear. We will have a mirror neuron that affects their emotional state just as much. So when we have confidence in that, then they also feel that. That is also contagious, and calm is very contagious. If you've ever been in a room where someone's kind of agitated and you walk in and you're like, uh-oh, what's going on? You feel it. But also when you're in a room and there's tension and someone is like, it's okay, we'll be able to figure this out, that ripples outward too. And that causes a very positive impact on the whole organization. So being able to be then aware of other people's emotions is another key pillar. And then being able to have the social skills to be able to help that team and to have positive interactions with others. So when we're in a situation, people will react differently. Some people might have the emotional intelligence to say, hey, this is great. What can we learn here? And other members of the team will have a different feeling. The interesting thing about women is, as I mentioned, we're socialized to talk more about emotions. We have the vocabulary, we have developed emotional intelligence, and we deal with relationships in very different dynamics. Culturally, we have been caregivers, and we have had to assess for threat, and we've had to be able to provide safety to our village, our family. And so we carry those strengths, as Kieran mentioned, into the workplace. And when a woman is involved in leadership, she has a great skill in being able to create that safe environment. Well, when it feels safe psychologically for the other team members, then they are able to regulate their nervous system, and then they're able to volunteer ideas. And Sandra, you talked about the quiet person over in the corner. What do they have to offer? Because they've been observing and thinking and analyzing. Well, when it's safe, those team members will bring those points of information. I've been in leadership, and I valued my team for telling me what was going on in the trenches, because I'm not always in every single situation knowing what's going on. But when there's an open door policy and they know they can come forward, well, then you learn the things that you need to know so that you can then make those changes. And as we're facing so many changes, the successful corporations and teams learn to pivot, and they learn to have that resilience in their emotional nervous system so that they can then access the calm that they need. And why do they need that calm? Not just so that they feel better, but so that they can access their prefrontal cortex and make decisions that change perspectives, that align with their values, that move the team forward. Because that's when we get insights and we're like, oh, how about that? But when we're worried about being safe, we don't have that higher consciousness. And so the resilience is dependent on having emotional intelligence, in being able to regulate our nervous system, and in the co-regulation of the team, so that we can all contribute and we can all move forward. And it's just amazing to me how teams are so much more successful in engagement, in profitability, in productivity, when they have high emotional intelligence. And so bringing on women in leadership increases that emotional intelligence and that resilience, because that is when we're able to reinvent ourselves. And all of you know about Kodak. They didn't go digital. They just thought cameras were going to be the way they were and had been for 100 years. And so we don't even use film anymore, hardly. Yeah. and you have to be able to pivot, otherwise you will be a deceased company. And so we have to have that creativity. But again, that comes from that higher thinking and being able to access our prefrontal cortex.
Yeah, and knowing ourselves, right? At the essence of all of this. And Diana, I'm coming to you to bring us home, my friend. So just one moment on that one. The key piece, though, which is resonating across all of this, is as Kieran knows, her big word is knowingness. It's all about knowingness. It's about the presence and being present. So if there's any opportunity, I'm going to send this out to the global world now. How are you showing up? How are you actually taking stock of self. Have you done a personal inventory about who you are? Do you know your values? There's a lot of good clarifying questions. Who am I, that we need to understand in order to be that self-aware leader, that individual. We change first, right? We go first. We all know that. We go first. And I'm going to just, before I bring in beautiful Diana, the key here is that, yes, we represent so many different women, different faces of women. There's a lot of other women that aren't here that I would love to have had be here. Different generations, different faces, different experiences, because all of our voices, all of our experiences matter. Because Diana, now I am coming to you, beautiful friend, because we all have a story. We all have resilience. We all have gone through something. And it is this strategic capacity. It's not just a personality trait. So take us home, beautiful leader, mentor, friend. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, the question is not if we can survive the change. It's if we can reinvent ourselves fast enough to lead through it. And resilience is not about trying to change what is outside. It's how we navigate those changes, those hard moments in our real life. Because we don't know how strong we can be until we are facing those challenges, those hard moments where everything inside us has to be put out there. All those insights, every tool, every skill that we build through the years, it's going to have to go into play to be able not only to be resilient ourselves, but as we said before, to be able to lead with trust, collaboration, and vulnerability. And this is something that we have to bring to the table, because if we don't feel that we can be vulnerable and we don't feel that we can trust our team, like Karen was saying, and we don't think that we can be there or they are going to be there for us, then it becomes a battle of an inside battle that we are not going to win. And Lynn was saying about becoming a strategic capacity of leadership. Resilient is complete. I agree completely that it's a strategic capacity. The complexity that we need to deal with right now, it cannot be affronted or designed without a strategic capacity to change and to be there for the change. We think that we are driving through very complex environments, but the work has always been complex. The problem right now, I think, is that the speed that everything is changing is really overwhelming. And we think that we don't have the resources to deal with that. So we have to build them. And we have to reinvent ourselves through that. It's not only endurance. It requires really a deep reinvention. Courage and the wisdom to let go of whatever we think that was working before, to be creative and try to deal with the new environment with these skills that we have been building. So we have to be confident. We have to trust ourselves and to trust our teams to do that. Because reinvention allows us to grow through it. And if we want to be that, to make that change sustainable, we have to go through navigating this change with this awareness that we can do it. But the only way that we can do it is by accepting and surrendering into what we cannot change. That will allow us, like Karen was saying, to bring out our front creativity, our front cerebral creativity, and open up ourselves to see, to foresee possibilities that we didn't see first. Another thing that we need to build through resilience and through reinvention is the capacity to see failure as a way of learning. We have to change that mindset where we think that failure is not an option. No, failure is the only way to grow. And that's the only way that we are going to deal with changes. We cannot we cannot try to solve the problems of the future or for the problems that we're facing right now with the strategic of the past. These are new, completely different phases that we're living. So we have to be open to find new ways. And the only way to do this is to take risk and to learn to navigate all those failures as a way of growing and as a way of just giving up. So strategic resilience means developing the capacity to remain steady in the moments of uncertainty while still being open to rethink assumptions, learn continuously, and innovate. It requires discipline, humility. It requires to leave our egos out of the door and being able to work with the team. And if we really want to carry a profound responsibility in this process, we have to learn to be leaders, that we listen, that we are present, that we work with integrity and with honesty, and that we are caring with the legacy that we're leaving behind. If we don't care about the environment and the impact that we're having outside, we're not going to be able to grow or to have a sustainable impact in the world. So I think that this part of just being able to include others and to treat every person with heart, honesty, and loyalty and respect, we are not going to be able to lead as women in these new environments, complex environments. If we are holding to the past and we are holding to something that we believe, our beliefs, our paradigms, we don't do this insight and this emotional growth, we're just going to be women leading without any impact. And this requires courage.
Diana, thank you. I mean, all of you panelists, I just have to give you a beautiful heart. Thank you so much. The power behind your words. Woo, goosebumps. You've lived it, you know it, you experience it, you work with others, you lead others, you lead yourself first. So I'm going to offer this to the global audience. What do you see is the greatest opportunity that you've heard today? What is one change that you could easily make? One mind shift, one thing that you could explore from all that you've heard, not only for yourself in your leadership, but in the opportunity, because this is International Women's Day and we are on the World Women Organizations. We are supporting, they're hosting this amazing event today. What is one thing that you could do to support other women? We've talked about the ripple effect. We've talked about these opportunities. So my beautiful panelists, we're going to take about 1 minute each just for our closing remarks, and then I'll do the final thoughts, and then we'll close out at 11:15. So who would like to start? Let's just do a roundtable. Who would like to start the share? 1 minute, your closing remarks, please, and how they can get a hold of you if you would like to as well. Who wants to jump in? Angela, how about?
Yep,
thank you for all your help, by the way. You've been amazing.
My pleasure. Thank you. My recommendation is join a cohort, get involved in masterminds, give back, participate, but also take a pause and listen to what everybody else has to say. That collaboration is so critical. And we can self-sponsor, we can self-monitor, we can create these opportunities for the people around us by being with them in the room. And we do that by creating these cohorts. And you can get a hold of me at creativelyefficient.com or on LinkedIn.
Thank you so much. Dr. Angela Buckley, you're an incredible woman. Thank you so, so much. Who wants to jump in next?
I
I
can
see
jump in.
Karen Hall.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. That's okay. We'll go to Karen, then to Diana. How about
Yes.
that?
Well, thank you, Sandra. Thank you, and Dr. Angela for hosting us today. And thank you to Rachel Akim Harumi for being the founder of the World Women's Organization, making this possible for us to even have this conversation. And I just love hearing from all of you. And you know, Diana, as you were talking, I just kept thinking about the strength of women to build collaborations as leaders. Research shows that we lead in a very different way, building those networks, creating that safe environment so that people do feel like they can share their thoughts and their feelings and their fears, and being able to help our teams emotionally regulate their nervous systems is so important. And we have those skills, and those skills are needed in organizations to help them move forward. And I just wanted to say that as we celebrate International Women's Day, my hope is that we will celebrate women and their strengths, and that we will give them the opportunities to build trust, to increase resilience by their gifts of being able to listen and being able to provide that support with their all of their beautiful gifts that they bring to the table. So thank you so much for the opportunity to share with all of you today.
Thank you so much, Karen. I just have such value and respect for you, and thank you for joining the panel today. I mean, I'm just you're surrounded by amazing women, and I'm just go and find your own beautiful community, because you know it's the power of the women that you surround, and men or men allies that you surround yourself. It really truly makes a huge difference.
I forgot to say how to find me.
Yes, oh, please go ahead. Please.
Oh, sorry. So you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm Karen Hall, the Queen of Empathy. There's a lot of Karen Halls. So that's how you find me on LinkedIn. And then KarenHallCoaching.com is my website. So thank you. Sorry, I forgot to add that.
No, I thank you. Thank you. Because I want everyone to find all of you. So Diana, please.
Yeah. Well, I think that we as leaders, and especially as women, that we have grown steadily into positions of influence, we carry a profound responsibility, really, to lead with accountability and with heart, to bring that emotional space, that safe psychological safety to people to thrive and to grow within our leadership. I think that if we can do that and we can be responsible for that, we can build a better world for everybody. And I think us as coaches, as leaders, this is our legacy to the world. At least I strongly believe that this is how we need to live and what we can try to bring to the future. And you can find me in LinkedIn as Diana Eisen, like my last name, and as Diana Eisen Coach. You can find me there. And my mail is dianaeisen@gmail.com. This one.
Thank you, Diana, my beautiful friend. I appreciate you. And Kieran, and then we'll go to Lynn.
Sorry, 1 second. Ladies, I encourage you to use the comment box in the upper right-hand corner and put your LinkedIn contact information there. And then it will go fly through. People will see it.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
I want to first take a moment and give a big shout out to Sandra for arranging it. She has been working for days putting all this together, and I wake up, I sleep with her messages of updates on it. So thank you, Sandra, for that. And also for all the connections. Like, I think you're the reason I know all these amazing female on the screen. So thank you for that. And thank you for hosting this and planning this out. So grateful for you.
Thank you.
One word that I want to say is a simple idea. We always talk about women empowerment. And lately, I've been thinking about, do we really need to be empowered? Empowered word came when we had needed the right to vote, needed the right to speak. Many part of the world, we are empowered. What oftentimes we're missing is to claim the power that is within us. So, on today's Women Day, I would say I want to leave with everyone that we need to claim the power that is within us and move to women emergence. Emergence is a moment when we stop shrinking the parts of ourselves to meet expectations and start allowing the real voice, values, and identity to come forward. And it's not something we can change overnight. So we're not going to wake up tomorrow feeling all emerged. It's going to happen very silently. But I want to recognize the time when we as women, finally start speaking without feeling scared inside. We as leaders, when we admit that many times we may not have all the answers, or as a parent, I think I'm guilty of that. Not let's not look for perfection. Let's be in the presence of who we are as a young woman. Let's decide that we don't have to follow someone else's version, and we don't have to achieve everything today. Allow the time to proceed and to grow. So I would say emergence is the moment when we begin to live in alignment of who we are. So let's support each other to learning who we are within us and shine the true skills that we have within. And there is no version, it is your version, and there is no timeline, it is your timeline to create. And thank you, Sandra. Thank you for the
Oh,
beautiful faces on the screen. It is a pleasure to be with you sharing the screen today.
well, it's my pleasure. Kieran and I met way in California with the Les Brown event, and it's just beautiful. All of you are just incredible, warm-hearted women leaders that are doing so much amazing good work in this world. I'm just so blessed. Over to Lynn, beautiful friend Lynn.
Thank you so much. I echo everything that's been said by the members of this panel. I'm so grateful to be here. It's been a complete privilege to be here. What a gift. And all the learnings that I'm taking away are big. If I could add one thing, is that I would say none of these journeys to elevation, to strategic capacity, all those things that we've been talking all day today, or all morning, it doesn't happen in isolation. We need to find those communities. I say to people all the time, find your group, that where you have like today, I find that this is my group. This is my consciousness of kind. These women have been there. They get it. They have the courage. They show up. They do their best to elevate women all over the globe. And that is so inspiring. So things like what Diana, take the risk. What's the sustainable impact you think you can make, and how do you start that journey? How do you navigate the terrain? And how do you go to, do all these things and make sure it resonates with your own personal fulfillment? And I think the answer is, don't do it in isolation. Reach out to your communities and the women who support collaboration and elevation and economic strength and power, and grow with them, because that's where the beauty is in terms of this leadership challenge that we're in.
Thank you so much, Lynn. And as we come to the conclusion of this, I just have a few of my final remarks in less than 1 minute before we truly conclude. For me, I've actually written this out because it's emotional. Like, this is an important work with what we're doing on International Women's Day. So I just put some words together. So I'm really resonating from this journey, even we've had today. So as we listened to these conversations across the 4 themes today, we can see how they all connect to the spirit to give, to gain, empower, to elevate. The ripple effect of giving reminds us that when women mentor, they sponsor and open doors for one another. Opportunity expands far beyond that individual. Moving from empowerment to elevation, it challenges us to move beyond our personal success and to step into positions where we can influence decisions, shape strategy, and strengthen systems. Investing in women highlights the importance of education, entrepreneurship, and access to funding so that ideas and innovation and leadership can grow and scale. And resilience and innovation, reframe, and resilience and reinvention remind us that sustainable leadership requires adaptability and courage and the willingness to evolve in complex environments. Truly, when women invest in each other, growth happens, opportunities come forward, and the system begins to shift, and leadership becomes more sustainable for our generations that follow. That is the essence of empowering to elevate. And I thank this incredible panel. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your hearts. Thank you for your wisdom. And thank you to the global audience for coming, showing up. Thank you to Rachel for your great organization. I'm honored to be on that board. And stay tuned. More is coming. Thank you again, panel. As I end this stream, feel free to stay on, or if you have to leave, that's great too. Thank you again. From my heart to yours, it has been an absolute honor.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Sandra.
everyone.
International Women's Day.
Happy International Women's Day.
Thank you.